got me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. You took my innocence without an alibi.
Welcome to the Fray Flak Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. And today, I'm going to be showing off my Ricochet Flak build. This build's going to center all around chaining enemies, ricocheting enemies, mainly ricocheting, but there is going to be some chain weapons in here. Flak has always been known for that single target damage character, but this build kind of completely switches that up. This is mainly for mobbing and group bossing, and by group bossing I mean things like Wotan, the final boss in the Guardian Takedown. I can't think of his name right now, nor pronounce it. But basically, most content in this game, this build's going to be able to do. Your only downside is, of course, single target enemies, but we do have a few options for you to choose for that. But before we get into the video, as always, if you enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future Mayhem 10 Flak builds. I have a lot coming your guys' way. Alright, over into the Hunter skill tree, we do have 5 points in Interplanetary Stalker. Now, as you guys know, this stacks up to 3 times, and each stack gives us 10% bonus damage. 3 points in the Leave No Trace, so we have that 36% chance to return ammo back into our magazine when we hit a critical hit. We put 3 out of 5 into Hunter's Eye, which will give us a bunch of different bonuses against different sources when we're fighting different enemies. And now, I do have 2 points from my class mod, so I am getting the max benefit of this perk. But I'm not over-speccing into it because we have more important points and we just want to use them more efficiently. 3 points in the head count so we can get our action skill back quicker because we are going to be using fadeaway for 99% of the scenarios. But if you find rack attack works better for you, I personally don't prefer it unless we're doing a recursion spam. If you want to go that route, that's completely fine. 5 out of 5 into 2 fangs, so we get that 25% chance to shoot an extra projectile. 3 points into big game, so we get 100% bonus hunter skill duration and 30% stronger effects. 3 out of 3 into the most dangerous game. So when we kill a badass, we will get that 25% gun damage and 10% crits for 120 seconds, but that will be boosted by big game, of course. 1 point into Galactic Shadow for the flat out 15% critical hit damage. A lot of damage comes out of this single skill point. And of course we got Megavore, so we get that 20% critical hit chance no matter where we hit the enemy. Always great on a Flak build. Over into the Stalker skill tree, we are putting 5 out of 5 into Furious Attack because we are using some multi-pellet weapons and SMGs with high fire rate. So getting up to 10 stacks is going to be very, very easy to do. And of course at 10 stacks we will have 20% extra gun damage. 5 points in a self-repairing system for the 30% maximum health and the 1.5 health regeneration bonus. We all know health regeneration isn't the best thing and Flak doesn't really have too much of it, but having more health is going to be a little bit beneficial with the kind of setup we are running. 3 out of 3 in a turn tail and run, so when we're standing still we get the bonus 12% fire rate and 25% gun damage, and when on the move we get a little bit of health regeneration and 17% damage reduction. It's always good to have. It's a great survivability skill to have for Flak. 1 point to Lick the Wounds because you gotta get the perk. You gotta get the perk. This is one of the best perks in the game. Guardian Takedown, you accidentally down yourself. This will save your whole run. It'll save you a bunch of time in a lot of situations. 5 points in the Hidden Machine for the 30% extra damage when Flak isn't getting targeted. This is going to be very beneficial with this because we are going to be running Not My Circus with our fadeaway setup. So most of the time this 30% bonus damage will be in effect. And because we are running a below 50% health build so we can get our URAD damage, I did not put any points into the Fast and the Furious. This is just here because it's boosted by my class mod. 1 point to Rage and Recover just to get further down into the tree. Nothing else really benefits it. You could put this 1 point into Eager to Impress, but it's really not a big deal regardless of where you put this. And finally, the Power Inside Capstone. When we activate our fadeaway and or our action skill, we will get that 25% bonus damage for 15 seconds. And if we are at full health, which we will not, because obviously we're not running that kind of setup, but we are getting the 25% damage every time we go into fadeaway. Now, some people will argue that the 42% extra gun damage with the boosted class mod and the 25% extra damage is a lot more worth it than the 150 URAD, but you have to remember 150 bonus damage outweighs this, because with this you're only getting, I think, a bonus 60 I think it's 67% if we didn't go URAD route, because Fast and the Furious would be at 42 and the power and side benefit would be at 25. So if you combine that, that's obviously going to be 67. So you're getting more damage out of a URAD build because you're overall getting that 150% damage all the time. And because we're not always going to be running 3-shot fadeaway, there will be times where we have to run 3-shot fadeaway for maximum damage. So I did put in Persistence Hunter to give us more time when we're using Gorillas in the Mist. And of course we do get that extra gun damage as well. Now I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention in the orange tree, we do have 2 points in the second intention for the bonus reload. Now if you want, you could put these 2 points into Hunter's Eye to make that 7 out of 5. You will be getting more benefits, more damage, but me personally, I find the reload is a little bit better. But maybe if you're finding that you're not doing enough damage in the takedown and you want to get that extra 12% on each of the stats, I don't think it's on each stat. I think most of the effectiveness, you're going to get a lot more armor damage from 2 more points, but the reload speed for me personally is what I prefer, but the option is always there to put more into Hunter's Eye. It's not going to hurt anyone to do so. Now, as for your action skills themselves, we are running Fadeaway, Gorillas in the Mist, and Not My Circus. Regardless of what you're doing with this build, Not My Circus is always going to be there. But your combination is either going to be Not My Circus and Unblinking Eye, or Not My Circus and Gorillas in the Mist. I'll go over this a little bit more in a few minutes. I just want to make sure that you guys know Not My Circus is going to be a main point of this build. And as for the pets, we are running the Spider Ant Scorcher for the elemental damage and health regeneration. And as always in all of my Borderlands 3 builds, my Guardian Rank will be disabled for purposes of testing and showing you guys the raw damage of the build. No Guardian Rank bonus stats, no Guardian Rank perks at all for this build to work. But hey, if you want to leave them on, you'll do even more damage, so it's a win-win for you. As for our Mayhem 10 modifiers, of course we are in Mayhem 10. We have Speed Demon for the movement speed, Healy Avenger because it's neutral, Ticked Off because we are not using any status effect damage to be the main core of this build, and Postmortem because I like self-torture. Now as for the inventory, we have a bunch of weapons to go over here, and some weapons that I know are going to be asked, why didn't you put this in the build, or how come you didn't incorporate this in the build. I'm going to be going over all of that, but for the main 4 weapons, we do have the Robin's Call as our first weapon. This shotgun is going to be the core of the build, of course. It's going to be part of the build. This shotgun in general is almost better than the Stagecoach in my opinion. You never run out of ammo, you're doing a crap ton of damage, and you're getting all the ricochets off of this, and it's honestly an amazing shotgun. And of course we do have a Reflux. The Reflux has a lot of different purposes, and we do have the anointment of URAD on most of these weapons. Some of them we have on action skill N because I have not farmed URAD, but if you have the URAD anointments on these weapons, feel free to toss them in. It will do even more damage. But the Reflux is for your groups of enemies as well. This is more for the Maliwan takedown other than anything else. The Recursion is, well, basically recursion. It's going to be doing anything, any content in the game. This, you see a big horde of enemies, and maybe your Robin's Call can't take care of all of it, and maybe your Reflux can't even take care of all of it. Just shoot this a few times because we do have the Abundant Prefix, which gives us a ×2 multiplier, and you're going to see a bunch of pinball effects at, you're going to see it quite often. And now our main source of fire damage is going to come from the proprietary license. This is an SMG that is amazing. It came out with DLC 3. Once again, I do have the URAD anointment. This is basically the Hyper Focus, the Chaosin, and the Bitch all together within one weapon. It's honestly amazing. It does a bunch of different effects, and it's probably one of my favorite SMGs in the game. It's even really good on Flak. But as for our other chain Ricochet weapons, we do have the Clairvoyance, very good option. Now the Clairvoyance could actually replace one of your shotgun slots because we do have 3 in the setup. My recommendation is maybe the Reflux, because the Robin's Call and the Recursion basically do the same thing the Reflux does but on a better scale. This is very good for maybe your tougher enemies or your armored enemies since it is locked to cryo damage. We do have redistributors all in different elements. This gun is actually still really good. I've done some testing with it against Maliwan takedown enemies. I've done it in classic Athenas. This gun overall, it still does decent damage with the URAD anointment. You're almost getting double the damage, and it's honestly ridiculous to see this kind of thing because Flak never used to be good with this SMG, but with this type of build, it's actually very well performing. And I've seen this in my comments about 100 times about the Rowan's Call and why it hasn't been in any builds recently. And to be completely honest with you, in my testing, even with a Stackbot Pearl setup, this gun it just doesn't work. It's just flat out, it comes out to the fact that the gun is not scaled properly. The gun doesn't do enough damage, and there's nothing I could really do about that. I've tried min-maxing this gun as much as possible because it's been one of my favorite guns. It's been my favorite OG flat gun from back in the day, and they just nerfed it into oblivion. There's not really much I could do about that. I tried my best to get it to work, so I can't say I recommend you guys to use this now, but maybe in the future it'll get a buff and it will fit well with this build. But for now, there's not really a place for it. But yeah, that is basically all my Ricochet chain weapons that I can think of. There's probably way more in the game that are performing well. I just don't know about them. If you guys know of any, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to maybe add these into the save file in the future. But for me, I've asked many people in my Discord what the best Ricochet weapon is, and I don't see it anywhere else. It's mainly Recursion, Brainstormer. The Brainstormer is also a good option. I forgot about that one. But honestly, if you have a Reflux, the Brainstormer is kind of obsolete unless you're going against something that resists corrosive. Now, as for our shield, we do have the front loader. Now, the reason we're not running a deathless combo, of course, the deathless will give us the added benefit of more shield. But with the front loader, we are getting a little bit of health. We're still not health gating, which is kind of unfortunate. But then again, with the deathless, you don't health gate regardless. But we are getting the benefits of the Pearl of Knowledge. Now, the benefits of this outweigh having the deathless on because we're getting that bonus 90% damage, which is overall great for whatever weapon we're using. And as for the front loader, I do have a shock damage ASE on it. Now, I don't have any other front loaders, unfortunately, but I do have different grenades with different ASEs. Just make sure you don't equip shock with shock because they do not stack upon each other. Choose a different element for the required content you want to do. Doing the melee one takedown, I recommend either corrosive or maybe a cryo grenade. And like I said before, the Pearl of Knowledge is here in our relic slot, but we do have some other options. If you want to run a Snowdrift, that's completely fine with you, but for max damage, the Pearl is what we're going to be using. The Electric Banjo, I've done some testing with this, and it's not terrible. Not terrible by any means, but it's not amazing by any means unless you're using something like the Clairvoyance, because the bullet proc damage goes off the amount of damage that your currently equipped weapon does. So for some weapons, this relic completely sucks booty cheeks, but for other weapons, it is actually very, very powerful. But overall, for more consistent, more reliable damage, the Pearl of Knowledge is what you're going to want. Now, as for the class mod, I've spent a lot of time debating about this. A lot of people have been sleeping on the Throwbot class mod, and it kind of reminds me of Money Shot from Borderlands 2. Now, with the right Throwbot, as you can see here, I have 9 out of 5 in a hidden machine for 54% damage. It has nothing to do with this build, but I just want to bring that up because it might be a future thing that I find out later. But we are running a stack bot. And one thing, I'm probably going to get another comment about this, is why aren't you using the Rico shield, or the Rico, or Ricto? I don't know how to pronounce the dang shield's name, but it's basically the sham shield of this game. I imagine people are going to wonder why I don't use that, and it's because in my testing, it resets your stack bot just like your pets do. And I don't like the stack bot being reset because that means every time I get shot at, my stack bot is just resetting and resetting, and it's limiting my amount of damage. So that's why we are not using that shield, unfortunately. Yes, it would make us more tankier, but in the long run, it'll make stack bot virtually useless. Now, other than that, I do have some bounty hunters in here if that is more of your style. I'm not a big fan of the bounty hunter if you're running this type of build, but maybe if you're in a trash mob scenario and you just want to get better hunter skill effects and all that kind of stuff, go for it. But for max damage with the takedowns and all that, run a stack bot. Even Cosmic Stalker could be a great option for mobbing. Of course, all of these will be here. Ignore the rack pack. That's just there. But yeah, now that I gave you the basic rundown of the build, let's go into a little bit more gameplay than what I've already shown. Me personally, I like to run with the Robin's Call just because you're going to see here in a second that we don't really run out of ammo whatsoever. Because the way this works is when you hit a critical hit, it will actually return ammo back into your magazine, which is an amazing effect for a shotgun. And you're not going to run out of ammo whatsoever. Now, I am not running 3-shot fadeaway because I do want a chance for our stack bot to stack up. Now, with this type of shotgun, you don't want to really run 3-shot fadeaway like you would with a stagecoach to proc all your ASEs because we have the URAD bonus damage on it, so there's really no point to run 3-shot fadeaway with this. You're getting a lot of damage out of it even without 3-shot fadeaway because our stack bot is proccing and so is the Pearl. And as you see in Athena's, this is just a honest walk in the park. Of course, the ricochets are hitting all the enemies. And yeah, pretty clean wipe. And there's a recur. Yep, that's recursion doing recursion things right there. Yes, sorry if my recording's lagging a little bit, but this is just what happens when you use a recursion in this game, because it's ricocheting off a bunch of different entities and it's doing maximum damage. Now, this isn't a great representation of the max damage it does, because if I'm running recursion, I would recommend running 3-shot fadeaway for the extra damage. But I guess now's a good time to show off the license, go into fadeaway, and we'll show off what this thing could do. As you see, it's a bunch of different projectiles. And even though it's locked into fire damage, it's still doing a lot of damage against shielded targets, because we do have the radiation anointment on it as well. But like I said before, when it comes to single target bosses, kind of like Captain Tron or Grave Ward, this is where that build kind of has its weak spots, because you don't have anything to ricochet off of, and that's where a lot of our damage is coming from. So with something like Tron or Grave Ward, it's going to be slow. I recommend using the Robin's Call because it's your best single target damage. And if you want to go outside of the theme of the build, you can always just use a back burner on the bigger enemies and stuff like that. But that would kind of kill the purpose of having the build. But if you want to, just use it for certain single target bosses, because that's the only time you're going to need to use it. And as you see right there, we made quick work of Chupacabra. When you get those extra ricochets, you're just going to be doing a lot of damage. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, can't you do this with the Stagecoach? And you can, but you got to remember, not everyone plays on PC, and not everyone can get the perfect 25 pellet Stagecoach that they want or need for their build. So this shotgun is just a great replacement for that, and I think arguably it's better than the Stagecoach. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but you're never consuming ammo with Flak with the shotgun, and you're putting out a lot of damage with it. But yeah, that is my basic rundown of Ricochet Flak. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, once again, please make sure you hit that like button down below, and subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack. If you want to join my Flak Pack Discord, link will be in the description below, along with the PC save file for this build. And yeah, I hope you guys have a terrific day. Stay safe during these times. And me and Scorch Jr. will see you guys later.